Take a slow breath in and let your awareness settle into your chest. You know this place now. You arrived here last week. You stepped into the heart with a level of clarity that surprised you. You could finally hear your emotions clearly. You could sense your inner truth without distortion. But then something unexpected happened. You felt the truth clearly and still couldn't necessarily see it. The heart opened, but the way forward did not. This is the moment where a lot of people assume that they're stuck. They believe that they missed something in the heart, or that they need to feel even more, or surrender even harder, or even wait for some dramatic revelation. But in the blueprint, that pause is not failure. It's intentional. It's a doorway. And that doorway does not lead upward. It leads back down. The heart is not a lighthouse. It's an echo chamber of emotional truth. It can feel, it can interpret, it can reveal the emotional meaning inside of you. But it cannot illuminate your life. It cannot light the path. The heart is a window. It needs a sun behind it. And the sun lives in the solar plexus. This is the moment you're meant to turn around, not to undo your progress, but to retrieve the light that you dropped long before you ever reached the heart. The solar plexus is not the past. It's the stored intelligence of your earlier selves. It holds the part of you that felt in color, not in grayscale. The part that moved instinctively, not cautiously. The part that trusted desire before you learned to mute it. That part that knew who you were before you started editing yourself to fit the world. When you climbed into survival, you left your light behind. When you climbed into clarity, you realized you couldn't see without it. And so here you are, in the exact place every awakening eventually leads. The threshold where you must go back down the staircase to retrieve the piece of yourself that belongs in the heart before the heart can guide you. Descending is not regression. Descending is reclamation. So feel yourself now standing in the heart, turning toward the pathway that leads back down into the body. Not down into trauma, not even down into memory. Down into the center that holds the unfinished you, the unmuted you, the unedited you. The solar plexus is the keeper of your original flame. It holds your direction before the world redirected you. It holds your inner visibility before shame blurred it. It holds your instinct before fear taught you strategy. That's why the heart felt dim. That's why the truth felt incomplete. That's why clarity didn't yet become vision. You were missing your light. Take a breath and imagine that descent now. Not falling or regressing, descending like someone walking down temple steps right into the chamber where their fire still burns. Your mind may want to hesitate here. It may tell you that going back down means going backward. It may tell you that returning to earlier versions of yourself is dangerous. But those earlier versions are not wounds, they're witnesses. They held your strength while you were too busy surviving to carry it. When you go back now, you go back as the self who can finally hold what you dropped. Feel your awareness drift from the heart, down through your sternum, and down through the soft place behind your ribs, until you reach the center of your solar plexus. And just stay there. This is where the light waits, not as memory, as power, as instinct, as direction, as clarity that belongs to the body, not the mind. Let yourself imagine a small spark here. The spark you left behind when you first learned to dim yourself. It's not fragile. It's patient. It's been waiting for you. You don't have to ignite it. You only have to acknowledge it. This is the moment the Blueprint calls retrieval. The moment you return for the part of you that you abandoned for reasons that you no longer believe in. Take a breath into that spark. Feel the warmth respond. And now imagine carrying that spark upward. Not rushing or dragging, just lifting it back up into the heart. That's what week 8 truly is. Not feeling more or understanding more, not trying harder, but going back for the light that lets the heart finally see. The moment that light rises into the heart, the emotional truth you sensed last week gains shape. It becomes direction, clarity, it becomes vision. You stop merely feeling your life and you begin seeing it. This week, you learn the most important truth of this entire stage. You did not lose your way. You lost your light. And now, you're going back to get it. And that's not a flaw in you. It's the predictable wound of someone who had to survive more than they should have. You learned to silence your instincts to stay safe. You learned to dim your power to stay accepted. To shrink your vision to avoid punishment. And you learned to call that collapse maturity. But here you are, standing in the heart with more clarity than you've ever had in your life. You can feel what is true. You can sense what's real. You can hear your soul again. And yet, you still cannot see the way forward. That's not because you're unprepared. It's because the light you need is not up ahead. It's behind you. That's where real strength begins, not in forcing a future, not in pushing yourself into a breakthrough. Real strength lives in the moment you turn around and walk back into yourself to retrieve the part of you who refused to die when everything else collapsed. You want to know what courage is? Courage is not climbing. Courage is not descending either. Courage is looking your younger self in the eye and saying, I left you behind, and I'm not doing that anymore. Courage is reclaiming the instinct you were once talked out of. Courage is retrieving the desire you were once shamed for. Courage is taking back the confidence you were taught to fear. Courage is lifting the version of you who held the flame even when you didn't have the strength to hold yourself. Your heart is open and ready, but the heart cannot guide you if it's still sitting in the dark. It needs the light of who you used to be, the fire that you used to carry, the clarity you had before the world convinced you to not trust it. This week, it's not about healing the past. It's about restoring the lineage of your own power. It's about remembering that you didn't come into this world confused. You were trained into confusion. You were taught to question yourself. You were conditioned to quiet your knowing. But the truth is, nothing inside of you is missing. Nothing is broken. Nothing needs to be replaced. It just needs to be reclaimed. So here's your moment. You stand at the edge of the heart with truth rising like a tide inside of you. And now you must turn back for the torch that you dropped, because it's the only light bright enough to show you the shape of what comes next. Don't walk timidly. Don't apologize for the earlier version of yourself. Walk with the authority of someone who finally understands that their life is not waiting for them in the future. Their life is waiting for them in the part of themselves they abandoned. When you go back and gather your light, the heart will stop whispering and start revealing. The path will stop feeling theoretical and start feeling inevitable. Your next chapter will stop looking foggy and start looking obvious. You're not going back to become who you were. You're going back to become who you were meant to be. So take a breath, turn inward, and go back for the light. Your whole life is waiting for the moment you carry it forward.